So, good morning. Welcome to Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Jill Clemens. I'm the founding senior minister, and yes, I have a new haircut. I cut it all off. Hadn't been for a while, and been thinking about this for a little bit, and just decided, I don't know, it was time for change. So here we are with a brand new haircut, and I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun, and just looking forward to seeing what happens with it. So here we go. We are Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living, and we practice life-affirming spirituality for successful living. And we do that through our teaching, through the science of mind, through our classes and weekly gatherings and book studies and all sorts of wonderful things that we do. And we're just delighted that you found us. If you're with us for the very first time, we welcome you. We welcome everyone to join us and experience our community. And right now, of course, we're doing it on Facebook Live. We're not meeting in our regular facility at this time. We hope to be doing that very soon and hope that you'll come and join us and experience the community in person with us when we get into our new home and start meeting once again. I want to acknowledge Joe Hammer, our Marketing and Communications Director, as our moderator this morning. I'm not seeing if Lori's up yet, but sometimes Lori joins us also. If not, we know that she's in her perfect right place, probably taking a class for her ministerial school. But thank you, Joe, for your service to us this morning. And we start like we always do. We start with a reading and with an invocation. And this morning, our reading is coming from the book called Richer Living and How to Use Your Mind Power for More Successful Living. And it's a compilation of writings from Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. And these two gentlemen were very instrumental in the beginning of the Religious Science Church and had a little bit of a parting of the ways for operational sorts of things. And so they split, and then we all came back together again in 2011, 2012, and things have been rocking along ever since. So let's do our reading today. It is from March the 4th, and it's called I Am Free with the Freedom of God. We all wish to be free, but at the same time, we should realize that liberty is not license. To say that we are free with the freedom of God does not mean that we are free to do that which contradicts the divine nature. We are free only in that freedom which God is, the freedom to be alive, to enjoy living, to enter into the activities of everyday living with enthusiasm and interest. We are free to love and be loved. We are free to give full and complete expression to every capacity we possess, provided this freedom harms no one and hurts no thing. This is freedom enough, because if we were free to do that which is destructive, we should ultimately destroy ourselves. And in so doing, we would not only deny, but would defame the nature of divinity itself. Therefore, we always pray, Thy will be done. But within this will, we know there is scope enough for self-expression, plenty of room to move around and express life to its fullest. So would you join me for an invocation this morning? How good it is that we come together in community through this wonderful technology of being able to express our teaching through this venue of Facebook Live, where we can connect and be together. And if you're someone that's watching this later on after the recording is posted, we include you in this prayer as well, as we know that all is included in the one. God is all that there is, the one life, the one mind, the one. And of that one, all is made manifest. And in that all is me and each one of us and we and everything that has ever been or ever will be. For there's only one substance, there's only one power and only one presence. And we are that which it is, expressing in form as that leading edge consciousness of the divine in form, God expressing through us as us. And so knowing this, I proclaim that unity, that wholeness that we are, and speak my word for and about us and our service today. Knowing that as we have come together, it is by divine right appointment. There are no accidents. We are here for purpose today, to hear exactly what it is that our ears and our hearts need to hear, that it is made manifest through us. I know that our service is blessed this day, that our technology works with ease and grace, and that everyone is connected and whole, perfect, and complete. I bless all faith traditions that come together on this day or any other day, knowing that there are many, many, many paths to God, to the One, all individualized and unique, just like we are. But they all go to the One, to that wholeness, to that exploration of our own divinity, to the manifestation of that which we are, the magnificence of God in form. And how grateful I am to know this truth, to bless this center and everyone in it, everyone who's ever graced its doorways, knowing that we are all one in the wholeness of God. I release this to the action of mind, knowing that it is done, it is so, and we affirm it together, and so it is. And so it is. So, just a reminder that Lori is still available to us online for prayer. If you would like to pray with a prayer practitioner, you can fill out a prayer request on our website, scottsdalecsl.org, and she will respond to you with a written prayer, or if you prefer to have a live prayer with her, she'll set up a time to have a phone conversation with you. She's also available for phone conversation or Zoom if you want to have a practitioner session with her, if you're working through something that you'd like a little bit of support with. She's available to you. I'm available to you. We're still doing our counseling. We're just doing it via Zoom these days. And what are you grateful for? I mentioned that in the very beginning before we got started, to be thinking about what you're grateful for this morning. And I want to express my gratitude to our board of trustees, to Don Hanson, Keith Rohde, Charlene Argyle, and Beverly Youngstrom for staying connected and supporting me in this community as we have been moving through this time and into our next yet to be and what that's going to look like. So I just want to express my gratitude to our board of trustees and their service to this community. And so I look forward to reading your gratitudes also this morning as you post them in the chat window. Announcements, if you missed it last week, we've got a new home coming up. We have found a new place to rent. It's at the area of the 101 and Rain Tree, just a little bit south of where we had been meeting at the beautiful venue 8600. And we're setting a target date of June 1. The board and I are meeting today to have a conversation around that and make our decision if June 1st is the right date. And I'm going to invite you into prayerful consideration with us. I sent a survey out to many of you on Friday. If you've not yet completed that, I would invite you to do that so we can include your comments in our conversation this afternoon. But I invite you to join us in prayer around this and knowing the perfect right time and perfect right way for us for opening our community to come back together in the wholeness of physical expression. We know we're already there in spiritual expression, but to join us in that prayer. Book study. We're doing Zoom book study on Tuesday evening, and our book this month is fun. It's called You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Jen Sincero, and she's a funny writer, and there's a lot of good conversation stuff here. If you're not reading the book, you can still join us. We just connect and talk about this, and a lot of it is based on spiritual principles, so it's an easy discussion to have. So I invite you to join us for that. You can find the information on our website on how to log into Zoom for that. The weekly email that we send out on Saturdays is full of information about upcoming things for the week, what's happening in the community, updates, and just some connection from me, a little note from me. And if you're not receiving that, I invite you to go on the website and sign up for that and make sure that you stay in contact with our community. This is your last week to join Lori for the experience of her Noonday Meditation that she does on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Zoom. She's going to be suspending the service throughout the summer after this coming Thursday. So you've got Tuesday and Thursday, 2 more meditation times with her at noon on Zoom. That information's on the website also. And then our Wednesday evenings, we have opened up an open forum, if you will, on Zoom on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7 as a chat room, sort of, to have a place where we can just connect in community. And we call it Exploring Our Unity. And everyone's welcome to join us for that and bring any questions you might have, anything that's going on with you that you need to explore about home sheltering or expanding in the experience of moving out into the world. Too soon, not soon enough. What's the science of mind all about? Whatever is on your heart and your mind, join us. 6 to 7. It's just an open dialogue on Wednesday evenings. That information's also on Zoom on our website, scottsdalecsl.org. So that's all of the announcements this morning. And the great work of our life, the great work of your life, that's the name of a book. And it's written by Stephen Cope. We did this in book study several years ago, and it popped up as our weekly topic, topic for this week in the CSL series of talks for the year. There's a quote in that book where he says, "Do your work passionately and then let it go. Now you are free." Now you are free. What is your work? What is your work? Is it something large and global or maybe even cosmic? Or is it something very small and petite, like writing your name on a grain of rice? What is your work in the world? I came across a parable this week, and it's called the Parable of the Raft. Have you heard it? Are you familiar with it? Well, there was a man on a journey, and he came to a body of water, and the shore that he was on was very inhospitable, rough and raggedy, and not very hospitable at all for him. And he saw across the way that the other shore was very inviting, and there was a lot of activity and things on the other side of that, and he really wanted to go over there. And he thought, well, there's no bridge, there's no ferry, how do I get over there? And so he began to use his imagination and allow his creativity to come forth and his resourcefulness, and he thought, well, I could build a raft. I could build a raft out of some grasses and some limbs and some vines and things, and then maybe I could float on that and use my hands and my feet kind of to support me as I paddle my way over there. And so he was successful. He created the raft, it floated, and he was able to swim with the raft's support across the body of water to the other shore, which was in fact very hospitable. But as he got there, he looked at the raft and he thought, wow, that was a good raft. That was a really good raft. I wonder if I should just pick it up, put it on my head, and carry it on the rest of my journey. Yeah. Then he thought, maybe I just leave it here and let it sink in the water, or maybe I pull it up on the beach and leave it here and go about my journey unburdened. So he had a decision on what he would do with the raft. Well, it turns out this is a story about Dharma. It's a story about Dharma. The Dharma is like a raft. It serves the purpose of crossing over, but what purpose does it serve if he carries it on the rest of his journey? Now, I like the story of the raft because it illustrates Dharma as not one thing, but as an in-the-moment thing. The man needed the raft to get across the water for a purpose, for one single purpose. And then was it time to let it go? Was he able to release his attachment to that thing that served him? We've all had that experience, haven't we? Of where we have something that serves us well and then becomes a burden to us. I think of going on vacation. If anybody else has ever done this, you get on vacation and you notice that you need a tote bag as you're walking around and shopping and doing things. And so you get one and you begin to fill it up, and then it becomes a burden to get it home. How do I get it on the airplane? It won't fit in my suitcase. And then you get home and you've got this extra bag that you really don't need, but you needed it over there where you were traveling but now you don't need it, so now it's just a burden. It's just another thing, right? We've had that experience. So what was he to do? Was he able to release his attachment to his raft that had served him and leave it on the beach and continue his journey? I think that the concept of Dharma in the United States has been blown up to this thing of my Dharma, my life's purpose, the one thing. And yet, when you go back to the Eastern writings about Dharma, it is said that it's the eternal and inherent nature of reality. And it's regarded in Hinduism as a cosmic law underlying right behavior and social order. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded Centers for Spiritual Living and also wrote The Science of Mind that we teach from, he defines cosmos. He doesn't really define Dharma. He used a lot of the Hindu and Eastern philosophy, but he put it in our language. He didn't really use a lot of the terminology that was used in the Eastern traditions. But he defines cosmos, and they're saying in Hinduism that this is a cosmic law. He defines it as the universal world, visible and invisible, characterized by order and harmony. Characterized by order and harmony. So as I look at these two ideas, we live in an orderly universe that is governed by law, governed by both physical law and spiritual law. And we know that when we operate within those laws, that life has a tendency to flow for us. And when we operate counter to those laws, we then get to experience the result of those choices. Classic example, of course, is electricity in the physical realm, that, if we put the knife in the toaster instead of in the butter dish, we're going to have a real different experience. But if we put the toast in the toaster, the electricity will brown it for us, right? So it's just different experiences depending on how we're using the law. And it's the same in physical and spiritual law, depending on how we use it. This parable also shows us that when we experience adversity, when we experience obstacles, that we can use our creativity, our imagination, and our resourcefulness to solve those problems. And that's part of our evolutionary process. That's part of the creative process and the evolution, the upward spiral of our learning and growth and expansion. And the universe is always going to cooperate with us and put lots of situations in our way. And we're always adjusting to those situations, aren't we? I was reading this morning in the Science of Mind magazine a little article by Reverend Dr. David Alexander from our Atlanta Center. And he writes a monthly commentary about the article that they published written by Ernest Holmes. And this month it's around the heart and listening to our heart. And he was talking about how all relationships, friends, family, whatever, all relationships are based on adjustment and readjustment, because it's always changing. We're always changing. Life is always changing. We've heard that saying that the only constant in life is change. And that's because we are growing. We are expanding. We're forever changing. And we don't change at the same rate. So we have the opportunity to readjust to each other in situations all the time. I'm reminded of airline pilots. They are always adjusting their course, right? Because they start with going from point A to point B, but they get buffeted by the wind or a storm or whatever might have to happen, air traffic, but they're always readjusting back to get on course, readjusting back to get on course. And the same is true with our lives. If we're paying attention, that we're readjusting to get back on course. And as life continues to throw these new situations and opportunities and obstacles at us, I was thinking about our January time frame where we were all setting our goals and intentions for 2020. And I would bet not a one of us have on there that we want to weather and emerge from a pandemic very easily with ease and grace. I would bet none of us had that. Wasn't on our radar. Wasn't on our radar, but here we are. here we are dealing with it, and now with this emerging into something once again unknown. Something once again unknown. We don't know exactly how we're going to emerge back out into life and socialization. And we don't know what it's going to look like and how we're going to react and what the solutions and the resolutions and the adjustments will need to be for that. One of the basic ideas in the science of mind that we teach is the idea that we focus on what it is we want to experience, not what it is that we don't want to experience. Now, we've been putting a lot of attention on this thing we call virus. And we don't want to deny that it exists, because it certainly does exist. It is something that's out there that we're dealing with. But would we be more well served to be focusing on what we do want, which is solution? There's a place in between where we can complain about and berate what's happening in the now moment, who's doing what or not doing what, or how it's unfolding or what it's looking like and all those things. Or we can stay focused over here in solution, and whatever our new normal is being something that serves us all. We can stay focused in solution. So I'm guessing that you may be confused like I am about all the information and misinformation and stuff that's coming at us, and gosh, which way do I go and what do I do and what decisions do I make and how do I do it? And as we look at that, we have to consider, how will my personal life be different? Because we know really that our world revolves around us, right? We all have that perspective. And we think more about ourselves than we think about anybody else. It's just the human nature, those 60,000 thoughts that we have every day. A lot of them are about our experience of what we're experiencing around us. So how will my life be different as I emerge? Are you in resistance that there will be any difference? Ron and I went out to dinner on Friday night. Hadn't been out in 6 weeks. And it was a different experience. We stopped and got the tires rotated on our way. And that was a different experience. They no longer drive your car in. You drive your car in yourself, and you have the option to just stay in your car, or you can sit outside, or you can even sit inside. And it was a different experience. And I will say they were as marvelous as they always are, but it was a different experience. It wasn't good or bad, it just was different. And we decided, since we were out, let's go grab a bite of dinner. It was different. The servers open the doors so you don't touch them. They're all masked. The tables are 6 feet apart with blue tape Xing out the tables you can't sit at. Everything was different. And yet, the servers were so grateful and so appreciative of our being there. And we said when we walked in, as we were driving there, that, things are going to be different, and we don't know what to expect because we haven't been out. But I can bet that the servers and the staff and everyone is still a little on edge and maybe a little stressed over what they've just come through and getting back into the workplace and figuring out their new normal. And we need to support them and, maybe not complain if it's not cooked just right, or this comes a little slow, or that's a little slow. And you know what? There's no salt and pepper on the table anymore. You have to ask for it. There's no conveniences like your mustard and ketchup and things on the table anymore. You have to ask for them. Things are different. They're not bad. It's just different. It's just different. And we know that we are at choice for how we respond to different, how we adjust our course in the course of life. I took a leadership quiz this week, and it was to determine how agile I am in my thinking and decision making. And it was a true-false test, and when it got to the last question, it really stopped me. It jolted me, actually. And the question, it was true-false, and the statement was, we're excited for what the new normal could look like. Excited. Not really the word that I would probably come up with in the first thinking of that. And yet I recognize the importance of this question to me, my life, this community. I'm excited about what the new normal could look like. So I recognize, because it jolted me at a level, that there was work for me to do there. Recognizing what popped up for me, what my feelings were around it, I realized there was work for me to do there. And Holmes tells us that we should pray with expectancy and conviction, expecting what we're praying about to be made manifest, to come forward for us. So I had to ask myself, can I get excited about this expectancy of good in the new and the new normal, and the unfolding, the unknown that's coming? Can I drop dread and fear and anxiety and anything else I might be feeling? So as I say, I took this challenge on and I did some deeper work with it this week. And I'm getting there, but I don't know if I'm 100% there yet. I'm still working through it and still getting that level of excitement up about it all. It's taken some spiritual diligence on my part to stay with it and to go deeper and to not bypass it and just knock it out and say, oh, yeah, I'm fine. But to really go deeper with it and to let those initial reactions kind of burn off and get into that deeper work. And I had moments of falling into fear. These are notes from my journal. I had moments of falling into fear with what it will be. I was making up scary stories in my head about restrictions and this, that, and the other that might be happening. I faced grief for things that have not happened. I missed a vacation. I'm missing a beach trip today. That popped up on Facebook. It's like, oh wow, we were supposed to be there today. Things like that. There's a sense of grief in some of those losses and what the future might look like. We've got to move through that. And what's not going to be the same, what's going to be unfamiliar, where I can go, do, be, have an experience or not. All of these things began to swirl as I took this into deeper and deeper layers within. And then, of course, confusion. How will it work? What if it doesn't? Will I be okay? All of these deep questions that we can deal with in our conscious meditations. I found myself sometimes in this process bound up by my thoughts. Ernest Holmes, in his book Love and Law, it's a very good book. It's got a lot of questions and answers from Holmes in it. But he tells us that we must break the chains of human consciousness which bind us. Break the chains of human consciousness which bind us. He goes on to explain there is operative through the consciousness of the individual a law which says the person is sick and is subject to being sick. And we have got to absolutely break it and emancipate ourselves from it. How are you going to do it? You're going to do it by the same means that brought about the condition, by thinking, because everything is produced by thought. You're going to do it by thinking into universal mind the truth about yourself. The highest truth is that we are power, spirit, substance. We are made in the image of God. We are perfect. These are reassuring words for us in this unknown newness that we're facing. Breaking the chains of our own personal human consciousness which binds us in any area of our life. It's what we think about it. It's what we think about prosperity. It's what we think about our ability to have it. It's what we think about our health. It's what we think about relationships or not having relationships, or they're going to be hard or they're going to be easy. It's what we think about that creates that and manifests that in our lives. We are bound by our own consciousness and our own thinking, and we can free ourselves by the same process. We can free ourselves by the same process. All life, all health, and all peace and all possibility exist in this power. Knowing this and using this knowledge will break the chains and give us the freedom. And you might be thinking right now, Is this true in this pandemic? With all the challenges and the changes and the confusion and the misinformation, but can you recognize that all of that is still human thought? Kind of shifts our perspective a little bit when we realize that all the stuff we're listening to, all the stuff we're hearing, is coming through the filters of someone else's consciousness. It's kind of a profound thought to think about what we're hearing. And when we can recognize that, the chains of human consciousness are individually expressing, or consciousness expressing through the chains, maybe would be a way to look at that. But we have to elevate our thought and deepen our faith that there is an inherent and infinite wisdom in the universe, infinite intelligence. We call it God, we call it Source, that is healing and bringing clarity and peace right now, in this moment. It's coming forward. There are those of us who are praying for that and knowing that our prayers are being manifest. It's coming forward now. Our ancient response was fight or flight. Our go-to reactions, fight or flight. And right now on the global scale, that fight or flight is inflamed immensely. And we see both sides of it. The fight side is our ego. The flight side is our fear. And the middle way, our way, is our faith. Rise above reaction and respond in faith. So I have a spiritual practice for us this week. Just one, but it's powerful. I'm going to invite you to take the challenge. I'm going to invite you to meditate and contemplate on that statement. I'm excited for what the new normal will look like. I'm excited for what the new normal will look like. I'm excited for what the new normal will look like. Can you feel it? As you take it into your meditation, be prepared that you may have some reactions like I had. Finding the scary stories, finding the resistance, paying attention to your own fight or flight, allowing some of that initial knee-jerk stuff to burn off and to take it deeper into your very beingness and explore, how can I get excited about this next step in the emergence in my life, in our global consciousness? How can I do that? You may need to also add some prayer and affirmation around this process. You may need a practitioner. Lori and I are available for you. You may have experienced fear, ego, anxiety, forgiveness, and maybe even grief. But I know it doesn't sound like fun, but it really is powerful and empowering to walk through that and burn off some of the layers of dust. On the other side of it, you get to decide what you're going to do with the rafts. All the rafts that have carried you this far. Are you going to leave them behind? Or are you going to drag them with you into the next expression? If we leave them behind, we can step into our intuition, our creativity, and our resourcefulness. We've all got to face this anyway. And we might as well expand our consciousness. Expanding the vessel to receive the new, the different, the more. Do the preparation work to be ready to receive whatever this newness is. I'm excited about the new expression. I want to close today with a quote by Ernest Holmes. He says, "We are in bondage only to a false sense of the self because we judge the possibility of the future by the limitations of the past. We believe that with God all things are possible, but we must realize that God is an indwelling presence. Therefore, with God in me, all things are possible. We not only are one with God, God is one with us." Would you join me in an affirmation this morning? I think Joe's going to post it in the chat window for you. Would you join me in this affirmation? I release the raft of my past experience and freely begin again. And so it is. Thank you for being with us today, for joining us in community and being an important part of my life, an important part of this community and its ongoing growth and success. And I'd like to invite you to join us today in our spiritual practice of tithing, donating to the community, circulating your good, and being a part of the good that is God, that is expressing in the law of circulation. And there are many ways that you can contribute to the community. You can go on our website and contribute through the donate button, our secure PayPal account. If you are someone that's used to putting your funds in the basket on Sunday mornings, which we're not doing right now, you can mail your check to us. Joe will post up the mailing address for you, or it's on our website, and we will do that through the mail. And so I invite you to join us for that. If you're an auto tither with us, we appreciate you. I'm so grateful for your continued consciousness and continuing your tithes to our community. And if you would like to become an automatic donor with us, where your donation is taken out on a regular basis, you can be given that option on our website to sign up for that. And there's some perks that come with that happen when we get back in community, and we'll talk about those when we get together again. So thank you for joining us in that. And if you would, join me for an affirmation around our prosperity today. I am an open channel through which prosperity flows. I accept the divine flow of goodness, ideas, and substance through me now. I am grateful for my full and prosperous life, and so it is. Thank you for supporting our mission of creating a world that works for all. And thank you for being here. A couple of reminders and closing announcements for us. The weekly email, you can sign up for that on our website to stay in touch with us. Our new homepage is up on the website if you'd like to see what's happening there. We have our wish list posted with things that can be donated, things that can be contributed for. There's a donate button on that page specifically for the new home items if you want to participate in that. It's totally volunteer, of course. And those are just some of the things. If you run through the list and you want to hold all that in consciousness for us, knowing that that's coming forward, that would be great too. And I'm going to also invite you to join us in a prayer request. We talked about it earlier for our board meeting today. We are meeting at noon to decide if we are opening June 1 or later in our new facility. And just knowing that we are divinely guided, spirit-led, as we've always been in this community, for what is the perfect right action and timing for us in our new home. You can reach out to Lori for prayer through the website. Join her for Midday Meditation. This is the last week of that, Tuesday, Thursday. Join me Tuesday evening for our badass book study, and Wednesday evenings for our Exploring Our Unity, and just in community conversation. And next week, we expect to be here again, 9:55, or log in, check in, and saying good morning. And our talk is The Path Made Clear. And your life is always speaking to you. It speaks in whispers, guiding you to your next right step. It's a quote by Oprah Winfrey. And appropriate, I think, with where we are on our path, and knowing that it's made clear for us as we make our decision on reopening our community June 1. So again, thank you for being here. And I'm just going to invite you now, if you would, to join me in prayer with this community as we close out our service today. Recognizing the One, the infinite life, the divine intelligence and wisdom, the creative power, the creative substance. This thing we call love, we call it God. We know that it is the intuition, it is the harmony, the order, the balance, the peace, the love. It is all that is. It is God. And all of it is here now, present, in, through, and as this moment, in, through, and as this life, in, through, and as me, as an individualized and unique expression of it, made manifest in the world today, this world, exactly as it is, for the divine purpose of my beingness to simply be here. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each one of us. I know that we are all individualized and unique expressions of God, of the Source itself. And we are all here for the perfect right purpose in this time-space reality, right here, right now. Would not be the same without any one of us. And so we recognize our individuality and our unity in the one, our wholeness, our perfection as spiritual beings expressing. As I speak my word for and about each of us, knowing, claiming, and accepting that we are Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living, that we have come together in collective community for the purpose of expressing as the magnificence of God that we are, for the purpose of creating a world that works for all, for the purpose of allowing this teaching to reach more and more people, to manifest a world that works for all, for allowing us to express at the highest level of our very being that which we have come here to do. We know that it's a path, it's a vehicle through which Spirit expresses. And I bless this community, knowing that as we have come together by divine appointment, that we are divinely guided, divinely led, for the perfect right expression, the perfect right time of reopening our community, of coming together again in physical form, in physical connection, knowing that we are each whole, perfect, and complete, and we are protected by the divine light, power, and essence of Spirit, that each and every cell of our body is infused with infinite intelligence, knows exactly what to do inside of our bodies for the fullest expression of life as us. And that as we come back together in whatever that perfect and divine right timing is, that we are surrounded by the light of God, expressing the divinity of Spirit as us, knowing that all is well, and knowing that this community is blessed. Blessed is a divine idea in the mind of God, expressing in form. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today that they are seeking prayer for, as we lift it into this prayer, we recognize that whatever needs to be healed is healed. Whatever truth needs to be revealed is made clear. That if prosperity or more financial flow is needed, that it is received, raining down in great expression. I know that we are each infinitely blessed in the coming together and the beingness of this service and this time today. So it is in great gratitude for the manifestation of this prayer, for the health and wellness of this community, that I release this prayer into the action of law, knowing that it is done, it is so. For we know that the word spoken is the word made manifest. I know this is done, and so it is. So, thank you again for being here. I love you all. I miss you horribly. I cannot wait to get back together and know that it will be soon. Have a wonderful and blessed week.